Hi, this is Brody Knack with the State of the Race Roundup for March 15th caucuses for both Republican and Democrats this time, because I think this is effectively the end of the primary campaign for both. And I thought it'd be interesting to compare how they went and, what's going to happen going forward. Now, clearly the primary campaign is not over, but this is the last big decisive night of the campaign. And from this point forward, you can kind of predict how it's going to go, aside from, a calamity type event for one of the major party candidates that is impossible to foresee either way. So, anyway, as far as what happened on Tuesday, Donald Trump dominated. He was only defeated in the one state that they really needed to beat him in, and it was Ohio. He lost to John Kasich by a really healthy amount, probably more than I thought he would, of a solid 8-9%. So he was denied the full 66 delegates out of that, and that really would have put him in a really strong position to get those 1237 needed to get the nomination outright. So he did destroy Marco Rubio in Florida, though. A 20-point win in a senator's home state where he invested that much time and resources, $35 million in anti-Trump advertising, and he lost. And he won. He beat all of that. So he got all 99 delegates, and that is practically a 12th of the entire nominating process happened in that one state. Not to mention the 3 other states he won as well. So Cruz almost eked out a win in Missouri. That would have been nice for him and his messaging, but he's still standing by the point that he's the only person that's beat Donald Trump the most, with 9 state wins under his belt, and has the only chance of the 3 remaining candidates to actually hit 1237 delegates. How he's going to do that, who knows? I've heard good theories that Eric Erickson of RedState.com has proposed that Kasich and Cruz form that unity ticket and potentially start beating Trump in some states. Will it be enough even with that to get to 1237? I've heard the number being 79% of remaining delegates is what Cruz would need to outright win the nomination. And at that point, Trump still might throw a hissy fit and go independent. Now, the reason why tonight was effectively the end of the primary season is that Kasich won Ohio and made it so that Trump needed 54% of the remaining delegates in order to get the nomination. With Marco Rubio out of the race, those voters do not go to Trump. There's just no way to see it happening. So Trump hasn't really cracked 50% in hardly any state so far. So it's not looking like he's going to get that 1237 number to outright win it, and it's going to head to contest the convention. So when the primary season ends and they go to Cleveland, it's going to be a contested convention short of Cruz pulling a Hail Mary pass with Kasich and somehow getting 79% of remaining delegates, which would be a blowout and, whatever. So the Republicans are not in a good spot, but it's where they've ended up. As far as the Democrats, Bernie did not translate that momentum from Michigan well. That was what he needed back then, but he wasn't able to capitalize it in states like Ohio, where it was expected to translate the best as far as trade issues, which everyone thought was what moved the needle in Michigan so much. Bernie lost by a substantial amount in Ohio, a solid 8-9%. That's a big win for Clinton. And then she dominated in 2 other states. Florida, which had the most delegates of 246, she took 2/3 of that. Now, it appears that she won in all 5 states, with Missouri being a technicality of a few hundred votes or something that could be a recount, and it doesn't matter at that point. It's an effective tie. She's a solid 300 pledged delegates ahead of Bernie. Now, lots of Bernie supporters will say, there's 2,300 delegates still remaining. You only need 2,300 to get the nomination in the first place. And the primary campaign is far from over. Barack Obama lost 21 states before getting the nomination. And that's all fine and dandy. But Bernie Sanders is not a Barack Obama. Barack Obama wasn't getting dominated at this point in the race. He was, giving it as good as he got. And neither candidate really pulled ahead of one another up until the very end of the primary season. So the Barack Obama comparisons don't jet. And Bernie Sanders is in a similar situation to Donald Trump, where he needs like 55% of remaining delegates in order to get the nomination. When a two-person race, that doesn't sound too hard, but the thing about it for Bernie is he's 300 delegates in the hole. He hasn't been cracking 50% in a strong majority of the 30 or so states that have voted so far. So it doesn't appear likely that with this kind of negative momentum, this kind of slowdown his campaign must be feeling because of the huge losses on Tuesday, that's going to translate into him suddenly reversing his Clinton situation by a 10-point margin. Just does not seem likely. So in effect, Clinton can't really call this over, but it would be going against the odds for Bernie to pull an upset. And, short of the catastrophic hypothetical that I mentioned earlier, Hillary's going to be the nominee. So it looks like primaries have effectively concluded, and it's going to be a Hillary versus Trump situation if Trump manages to woo enough people at the convention, or it's going to be an implosion of the Republican Party if they go for anyone but Trump, through Trump running an independent bid, or the party being just too fractured at that point to really run an effective general election campaign, much less with a weak candidate like Cruz. Or extreme, I should say, candidate like Cruz. Cruz has proven to be a strong primary candidate. So that is the state of the race. Contested convention for Republicans, Hillary nomination with a comfortable margin likely in Pennsylvania later. So anyway, this is probably the last state of the race roundup for either the Democrats or Republicans, since I kind of view the campaign as being over, aside from any big notable events that happen, such as a Cruz Kasich unity ticket or what have you. Expect more coverage on topics such as, should Paul Ryan accept the nomination if it's handed to him on a silver platter in this election season? Who should Clinton and Trump pick as their VPs? Or Cruz? And yeah, other political topics surely incoming. Anyway, stay tuned. We're planning on going all the way to general election in November. So thanks for sticking with us so far. We hope to keep growing. That's Brody Knack with the State of the Race Roundup. And have a good one.